I have to tell you this, most people don't understand the relationship between the title company and the underwriter. Stewart simply guarantees all the work that they issue when they issue a Stewart policy. They do everything. Edwards Abstract does the search, the exam, the closing, the escrow, the filing of documents, and then they give us a small percentage of that. But that's not why I'm here. I'm actually here, first of all, McAllen's dynamic. Who agrees with me about this? Before I ever went to work for Stewart 19 years ago, Stewart Morris Jr. said, where would you be if you could start a title company any place in Texas? I said, McAllen, and that's when Stewart Jr. talked to you, Byron. And you think about that. And I'm also here, I've got great friends here. Adrian Arriaga, where you at, Adrian? Yeah. You talk about the consummate individual across the country that's recognized. Do y'all know that? Every person in commercial real estate, CCM-wise, knows Adrian. He is the best ambassador you have. But Byron, like you said, we're friends. I mean, you guys are lifelong friends now. So that said, here we are, start out with a new topic. This year is for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Sir Isaac Newton, physicist, had 3 laws of motion. That's law number 3. And I always say that Newton was an economist, even though he was a physicist. Now, for every action, there's equal and opposite reaction. How many of y'all are hearing this urge across the country for $15 an hour minimum wage? Y'all aren't hearing it here, right? I got a couple bobbleheads in here. Yeah. Well, do you realize that some people are not worth 15 bucks an hour? And that's not a derogatory statement. If you don't have a marketable skill set, you cannot earn $15 an hour for your employer sometimes. And so what we're seeing across the country and around the world as this minimum wage goes up, McDonald's is saying, I can't afford the person taking the order. Who's ever been to McDonald's now where you put your own order in like this? Is that amazing? You go up and say, here's what I'm ordering. This is the original one. Notice there's no counter people. You go up there, you touch screen, I want this, 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 and this. You put in your cash, your credit card, or your food stamp card, and then they call you up. Here's another one where you prepay, another option they're trying. Understand, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Now, we had oil prices get cheap, and if you heard me a year ago, I forecast they were going to get really cheap. Who remembers? The hell were you people last year? Yeah, I like this back here. There's even a McDonald's thing that you can go and say, I want a Big Mac with no lettuce. Understand what is taking place for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. I love this one. Who knows what this minus 27.6 is? And remember, I used to be a professor, and I can call anyone up here to the board. So let's get class action, interaction here. What is minus 27.6? Last year, I talked to you all about the new CFPB closing rules, which effectively became effective October the 3rd. The total number of loan applications in the first full week after TRED dropped 27.6% because 1 out of 4 lenders couldn't take a loan application. Y'all get it yet? Remember I said that last year? I asked how many of you lenders in the room, how many of you are ready for TRED? What amazed me is not even half the people in this room were ready for TRED, but that was kind of like it was in the U.S. So you gotta love this next one. For every action, there's equal and opposite reaction. If you build a wind tower on the coast because you get a lot of wind, when a hurricane comes in, you get more. Y'all notice that, right? You ever seen a wind tower come down? You ought to Google this sometime. Pictures of wind tower failures. Wind turbine failures, you'll be amazed. I love this picture. Save the trees. All printed on cardboard stock. Is there irony here? Is anyone else on this? Oh, you gotta love this one. I love this one. Plant trees. This is a guy I like. He cuts firewood for a living. I ran into Taylor Swift on the road last year. So I called my wife up. Sure, I've been married 41 years. I said, you're not going to believe this. I ran into Taylor Swift on the road today. She said, did you get a picture? I said, yep. She wasn't that amused either, by the way. I got a bad feeling about a boat called Unsinkable 2. The hell happened to Unsinkable 1? Does anyone have a bad mojo about that thing besides me? Yeah. There is a bridge. By the way, you can go see this website, www.11foot8.com. There is a bridge, it's a railroad bridge, so you can't raise the bridge because of the incline of the rails. You can't lower the road because of utilities. And so what they do is they put all these stop signs and warning lights, and I just want to tell you this, there are stupid people you deal with every day. What's proven about this one, on the road to success, there are no shortcuts. Guy proved that one. They're stupid people. Now, if you work at an archery range, and your umbrella looks like a target, you're going to get shot. Who agrees with me on this? Now, I don't usually go to garage sales, but I went to one. Guess which one I went to? I've got 4 words for you today. Attitude is number 1. I think that's what I love about the Valley is that you people have this can-do spirit attitude. Who kind of agrees with me about this? Don't tell me I can't do it because I will. And that's also part of Texas, but the Valley in particular. But I love that one. The next one is adaptability. Now, I love this one. Someone asked last week, well, what happened if the goat slides off the cliff? I said they'd die. In other words, Darwin was maybe right on some of this stuff. I love this one. Expectations, delivering above expectations. Who believes in customer service? Byron, you just talked about this. If your customers don't get the service they want, they'll go elsewhere. And that's what I love about y'all, because you're service-oriented. Elva proves that every day, guys. I grew up, had my own appraisal company back in the 70s in Colorado. My specialty is appraising hotels around the world. I did the Rockefeller Resorts when they sold out Renaissance hotels. So I got to speak last year at a big consortium of these hotel developers. And I'm sitting out there on the beach, and it's a beautiful beach. I won't even tell you which island it's on. Have you ever been at a hotel that the palm tree had an outlet? Do y'all see that outlet, electrical outlet? That's customer service, that's there. Now, there are always these unexpected things, so here we go. Made it. Yeehaw. Who thinks that's the best advertisement you've ever seen? It kind of describes, Byron, why you need title insurance. Even though you think your attorney covered everything, trust me, that gotcha thing. Now, how many of y'all in here tweet? Okay, so I got one hand. How many of y'all have ever heard of Twitter? We're not leaving this room until I get 25 more people to sign up. I'm DRTCJ. Y'all with me on this one? I'm serious. I got my iPhone out here until we get 25. Nobody leaves this room, guys. Tweet this thing out, guys. Let me tell you about Twitter. It's kind of amazing. I'm 61. If I can tweet, you can tweet. That's pretty much it. My company told me last year on impressions, on tweeting, that I got to 98 million people and addresses. Guys, is that amazing? If you're in this kind of business, you got to do that. So from there. Let's talk about mega themes. Mega theme number 1. In the U.S., in Texas, in McAllen, Edinburgh, Michigan, we have more jobs than any time in history, period. Jobs are everything. Not only that, we've actually created some pretty good jobs. If you go back between 2010 and 2014, we don't have the 2015 results totally yet, but you do that period, USA Today did a study, and what we found out was that more than half of the new jobs paid more than the median household income, which means we actually created better jobs on average than we had. Guys, that's amazing. Number 2, on this job thing, what's really cool is, first of all, McAllen is a very young city. I'm talking medium age-wise. The entire valley is. Texas is young, but y'all are younger. There are people like me called boomers. You're a boomer if you're born between 1946 and 1964. And there's a couple authors out there and people that write books and articles. They're going to tell you that as the boomers die, the U.S. economy implodes because we won't need our houses. They say, you know, we won't need our 401ks, we won't need the stock market. They're completely wrong. There are indeed 76 million boomers that all are going to die. But between the ages of 18 and 34 and millennials, there's 83.1 million. We got more millennials between 18 and 34 than we have all the boomers. And if you go down to the age of 15, we have over 92 million millennials. And what's amazing is as these millennials form their first household unit, I'm talking about renting an apartment, guys, or a house, or buying their first little tiny house. What do they have to buy? Everything. Mattress, sheets, pillows, pillowcases, blankets, bedspreads, nightstands, lamps, garbage cans, throw rugs, knives, forks, cups, saucers. We are now seeing the largest retail boom the United States has ever seen. Who in here is retail on the commercial side? Yeah, am I right? Is retail hot? Yeah. Could be better. Well, it's yeah, still not bad. So, and this retail boom's just starting because they say that this millennial household formation is going to take place the next 10 years. We're going to have a lot more renters than owners. Who's in the multifamily real estate here? Multifamily. Guaranteed. Dodd-Frank, CFPB, qualified mortgages. Every one of those to a lender in this room is a four-letter word. Am I correct, lenders? I mean, that's just been a nightmare. But what it basically says is that because of all these new federal regulations, we're just going to have a lot more renters, which means we're going to have a lot more need for multifamily. We're going to talk about multifamily construction in a few minutes, too. Entry-level home buyers returning. Who are my realtors in the room? Do y'all remember 2 years ago the high end was hot? And now it's just, let's do the entry level. Am I right, guys? Look at the bobbleheads out here. Just look at months inventory, the price range. Let's talk about inflation potential. I actually believe that inflation is 4 to 7%. I think the reason that we don't believe there's inflation, number one, cheap oil and gas prices gives us really low gasoline cost and diesel fuel cost at the pump. That's an illusion, guys, because I think everything else costs a lot more. You look at, spoke in November at an event, I said inflation is 4 to 7%. This guy challenged me. He says, why do you say that? I said, because all new vehicles, 2016 models, cost 4 to 7% more than they did a year ago. And this guy said, that is not true. He said, I drive 60,000 miles a year, and every year I buy a new Honda, and I just bought that new Honda, and it's within $100 of what I paid last year for it. And I said, okay, did it have the same options? He said, no. I said, why not? He says, because that model was too expensive. Yeah. I said, how much more expensive? So he pulls out his phone, he says, 7%. And I'm going, duh, everything costs 4 to 7% more. They're just doing that illusion. I think because of this inflation, this is going to be the best time we've ever had to overweight in real estate. Now, I've said that, had that thing, this is the third year in a row. Why? Because real estate outperforms inflation. I'm going to show you commercial real estate in a few minutes. Yeah, it's national, but it goes every place. Then lastly, I want to do this one, terrorism. Terrorism is here to stay. It's not going to go away. It's going to be part of our lives. We will never get over it. One of my former graduate students from Texas A&M, one of them is a Secret Service agent, one's an FBI agent. And we were in Nashville, Tennessee in October, and I was going to fly out. Another one just flew in. A guy was going to fly out much later in the day. And we all met at the Admirals Club drinking adult beverage. And I'm sitting here talking to the FBI agent, and I said to him, I said, so tell me about terrorism. He says, you speak to realtors, don't you? And I said, yeah. He said, you speak to property managers, don't you? I said, yeah. He said, you speak to appraisers. He said, do you realize our best leads come from these people that just make an anonymous call saying there's something funny going on here? He says, if you ever think there's anything funny, call the FBI and drop an anonymous line saying something's going on here that's not right. Y'all with me on this? He said, right now, that is our best front line of deterrence. So just remember that. You guys have an obligation out there, too. So let's talk jobs. You know, the last 12 months, U.S. grew 2.65 million net new jobs, more than any time in history. This is seasonally adjusted, so that way we compare December to January. Job growth rate's 1.88%. In December alone, we added 292,000. The Economist shows you what economists know. They're worse than weather people. Y'all understand that, don't you? Economists said there'd be 200,000 net new jobs. We had 292,000. But where is it going to go from there? Because we don't care what history is. We care about what the future is. And the future is that the best indicator of where the economy is going to go job-wise is employment and leisure and hospitality. Now, think about this. You and I don't spend money on nice dinners or dude ranches or cruises or spas or vacations unless we feel good about the future. Am I right? So forget the consumer confidence surveys like University of Michigan, what have you. This is the best. U.S. job growth overall is 1.88%. Leisure and hospitality is 2.92%, which says that portends to me that job growth will increase. Y'all with me on this? So I'm just trying to tell you that you and I feel really good about the future. The other thing I want to talk to y'all about, it's a great time to be in Texas. Mind you, I don't know a bad time to be in Texas unless you were Davy Crockett at the Alamo or something like that. William Baines Travis. But every year the Tax Foundation does a big study, and they rank all 50 states on business friendliness. They look at 5 taxes: corporate income tax, personal income tax, retail sales tax, unemployment tax, and property tax. And by the way, property taxes in Texas are obscene. Who agrees? Don't blame your assessor. It's not your assessor's fault. Your assessor is saying your property is worth this. What you need to blame is that we are putting the entire burden of school systems on real estate. Y'all understand this? Don't blame your assessor. They're doing their job. That said, on those 5 taxes, Texas ranks 10th best. Now, I'm not worried about 1, 2, or 3. The best tax place to do business in the country is Wyoming. Number 2 is South Dakota, and nobody is moving to South Dakota. Number 3 is Alaska. Y'all with me on this stuff yet? Y'all get it yet? I'm just trying to tell you that, great place to do business. Now, Texas overall, before we drill down in McAllen and Mission and Edinburgh, the MSA here, if I talked to you 15 months ago, I would have showed you that we were number 2 in overall job growth in the entire country. And by the way, North Dakota, who's last right now, would have been number 1. You talk about a one-trick pony, that's North Dakota. Texas is not a one-trick pony. Yeah, oil and gas, which boomed our employment, has receded, but we're still 25th best place. We're kind of average. Why is Idaho number 1? Y'all ever wonder why Idaho's number 1? Intriguing that their home sales last year are up almost 18% year over year, 2015 to 2014. If you come down that list and you get Utah and Washington and Oregon and California and Arizona, what it says is that Pacific Northwest and West Coast is doing extremely well. Now, why do people go to Colorado? How many of y'all like to go to Colorado in the summertime here? Okay, nice and cool, right? Well, these people in those states used to buy ski area places in Colorado, except they're being priced out of Aspen and Vail and Beaver Creek and Telluride. It's got way too expensive. And they're going to Idaho. It's the next cheap mountain area to go to. It's beautiful. It's pristine. I speak up there every year. We have a great office there. Let me show you Texas leisure and hospitality jobs. Remember, the job growth in the Texas is 1.53%. Leisure and hospitality is 4.54%. We're growing 3 times as many jobs, leisure and hospitality, as we're growing as a state, which says you and I, forget oil and gas for a minute, you and I as a state feel extremely good about the future. Just trying to tell you I'm setting the stage for a good year. Yeah, y'all have heard me trash talk. This is McAllen, Mission, Edinburgh jobs, MSA, 6,900 net new jobs in the last 12 months, 2.82%. That's almost 50% greater job growth in the U.S. Do y'all get it yet? If you're waiting for the economy to improve, you missed it because it did. Y'all see those last 6 months of that plateau of those really good jobs? More jobs than any time in history. Just go from there. So let's look at housing sales before we talk about commercial. Kind of hard to read the housing sales number because we don't sell many in January, February. We sell a lot in May, June, July. We'll do a 12-month moving average. And the good news is we kind of plateaued out there. Now, I do want to point out to you, we're selling less homes than we sold in 6, 7, and 8, as we should. Because in 2006, 2007, 2008, we gave subprime loans to people who could never pay them back. They never should have bought a house. And then you see we sold a little bit more in 2010, That was all because of the tax incentives. People bought a house because they got thousands of bucks. So you pull out those two peaks, I'm going to tell you this. Did you know you're selling as many homes in McAllen other than two unsustainable peaks as any time in history? Y'all get it yet? It's a great time to be here. You want to look at prices, median price. Let's just look at the 12-month moving average. Remember I told you that real estate typically outperforms inflation? Well, according to the federal government, inflation is zero. They have to make it zero because if they make it anything greater than zero, then they have to give federal pensioners and Social Security people a cost of living allowance. So this year is 0%. But your median home price here in the last 12 months on a 12-month moving average went up 7.3%. That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. Let's look at building permits. Any builders in the room? Got some over here. Any developers on land? Are we overbuilding, yes or no? No. No. This blue is single family. The white on that bar is multifamily. Latest 12 months, 3,873 total new dwelling permits. That's from apartments to mansions. 6,900 new jobs. That means you have 1.8 new jobs per new dwelling. We think you need 1.25 to 1.5 new jobs per new dwelling, which says y'all once again underbuilt the market worse than you underbuilt it last year. In other words, last year you were still underbuilding, but this year you're underbuilding even more. What that says to me is that property values continue to go up and rents continue to go up. Who agrees? Look at the bobbleheads on the multifamily people. I love this. It's real supply and demand is everything, guys. It's real simple. Do you want to show you this one? Housing affordability. Every time I come down here, housing's not affordable here in McAllen. Yeah, it is. Now, we don't have the 2015 median household income. We won't have that till July. So I can't do 2015 numbers. So what I have here, I have median household income in 2014. That's from the Census Bureau. I have the percent change. Now here's what bothered me about McAllen. Y'all's median household income 2013 to 2014 dropped 2.44%. That bothers me. Why? Because everyone needs to make more money every year because it costs more to live. Y'all with me on this one? That said, if you look at the 2014 median household price, and this is McAllen Association Realtors, it's the 12-month average of the median is $116,300. That means here you pay 3.34 times median income to the price. So your median income times 3.34. In the U.S., it's 3.85. In Texas, it's 3.48. You're cheaper than Texas. In Dallas, it's 3.66. You're cheaper than Dallas. In Austin, it's 3.75. You're cheaper than Austin. You're not quite as cheap as Houston, but it is what it is. Y'all get it? Yep. Now, that said, there are a large number of people that want houses that can't afford them. Am I right? I always joke in Houston, people tell me how unaffordable Houston's housing is, but not everyone should live in River Oaks. Y'all with me on that? Got to just do this thing out. If I throw out the number 8 realtors, this is to the realtors, and I expect a response. If I threw up the number 8, what does that mean? Not everyone at once, okay? The best answer I had last week, that's the number of quarterbacks the Texans football team went through this past year. Folks, FSBO sales for sale by owner. Last year, 2015, profile of home buyers and sellers. 8% of sellers sold FSBO. That's the lowest it's ever been. If you think the internet has alleviated the need for a realtor, you're wrong. People need realtors today more than ever before, and because of that, we're seeing more people use them. I remember when FSBOs made up 21%. They started collecting this data in 1981. Guys, just trying to tell you, real estate professionals are needed today, and you add a skill set that no one else has. Oh, and it's not just finding a house online. Anyone can do that. That actually just gets you out of showing them 40 houses. What it does is allows you, if you want to really seriously about it, price negotiation. Oh, and not on sales price. If you look at the negotiation skills that a home buyer wants, they want you to negotiate the terms of what stays, what repairs go, because you know better than anyone else, because you see what the marketplace is bearing. I've always said this, if you ever see a person walking backwards like this, you know they're an appraiser. because all they do is look back at history, and I'm a reformed appraiser, so I get to say that. Which appraiser did it tick off in here right now? I always said that the real estate agent knows more about the buying and selling and values because they see the motives of the buyers and sellers. So let's look at retail. Now this is total retail sales. It's real, which means we've adjusted for inflation. It's seasonally adjusted. And I want to take you over here. Do y'all see my marker? You see that pointer right there? That was November a year ago. And real retail sales fell in December, January, February. And the Wall Street Journal wrote an article. The headline, U.S. economy fractures as retail sales splinter. So I wrote an op-ed piece, which I didn't publish. Maybe I ought to learn something out of this. The op-ed piece was this. I said, you guys are stupid because included in real retail sales are gasoline, diesel fuel, and jet fuel. What happened to the price of those? Plummeted. We bought more of everything. We bought more of everything. We just spent less. Kind of amazing. They said, this is before this latest thing, the average driver last year saved $550 over what they otherwise would have with higher gasoline prices. Oh, and you'll hear the preliminary number, and I don't have it up here but because I don't believe it yet because I'll change it. Preliminary number says that retail sales dropped in December. No, because they forgot to count online sales, and they said, well, that doesn't impact the local community. It does. My oldest daughter and son-in-law and two granddaughters live in Portland, Oregon. She runs a labor and delivery unit for a hospital. She's an RN. And when I want to buy them a gift, I go online to Walmart, and I say, I want to buy this sandbox, and by the way, I want you to deliver the sand to the house, and the local Walmart delivers it. Y'all with me on this stuff? I love this. If I need a weekend project at home, and I have a wood shop in my house, I actually go online at Home Depot, and it's all delivered to my house. And it's delivered just like a mile away. I just don't have time to go get it. And they deliver it free. Y'all with me on this stuff? It's just not that we're replacing local stuff with online. We're just taking care of our customers in a different way. You're going to get this with electronic closings and everything else. I want to show you McAllen. This is the MSA. Total sales subject to state tax. And you're the highest ever. If you think retail's bad, you actually have more sales subject to state sales tax any time in history. This is 12-month moving average. Lightweight vehicle sales. Now, why do I tell you all about lightweight vehicle sales? Because in factories and plants here, you build so many car parts. Did y'all know that? You do. Yeah, do you have a car assembly line here? No. San Antonio does. Do you realize San Antonio has more people working for car part manufacturers than they do for the auto manufacturer? Huh. Well, let me just do this one. Let's go for Laredo, who's now building parts for Mercedes. Let's go to San Antonio. Well, y'all too. I mean, you make everything from thyroid chips, which control electronic controls in cars. Right here in McAllen, you make those. I even have one on my desk at work because one of my last flights out of here, a guy gave me a couple of them. I said, what is your company do? He says, we make these thyroid chips here. Here you go. And I said, what do they control? He said, well, electrical systems and autos. It's all part of the computer systems. I said, isn't that amazing? And so let's just do all this. Where does all your stuff get shipped out of? Most of it gets shipped out of the Port of Houston. Most of it, not all of it. I mean, you have Brownsville Port and everything, Corpus Christi. Port of Houston is the second largest port in the United States of America. And here's the gotcha on that one. For every container that comes in full from overseas, 20-foot container, we ship 2 full ones out made in the United States of America. We're a net exporter in this region, not a net importer. Y'all realize it, even here in the Valley. Kind of amazing. And of course, car sales, we used to sell 16 million, we got down to 9 million. Last year we sold 17,470,000 vehicles, all-time record, over 60,000 more than the last record in 2000. Consumers have changed their balance sheets. They fixed them. If we have a downturn, which I don't see coming, if we have it, well, unless you're one of those oil and gas towns that's dying on the vine, you're not one of those. But I'll show you some in Texas that are. But consumers, if we have a downturn, they can actually handle it better this time, maybe any time in history. Look at this, guys. This is a percent of your take-home pay that you spend, all right, on consumer debt. It does not include your house loan. Why? Because some people own a house, they don't have a loan. Some people rent. So now we can compare everyone. It does include your college loan, your car, your boat, your jet ski, your snowmobile, and your credit cards. Includes all that stuff. We used to spend 13 cents of every take-home dollar on that. Today, we're spending less than 10 cents. Y'all get it yet? I mean, consumers got this big raise with doing nothing. They just sit there and didn't buy as much. Let's talk real estate. Now, I will tell you all this. It's really difficult to get a gauge on what U.S. real estate returns are. You're not a major town. When I say major town, I'm talking you're not over 5 million. Is that a fair enough statement? Although if you look at the Valley Metroplex, it's a huge economic situation. But I'm going to look at U.S. returns, and here's the one return series we have. NACREIF, well, let me put that in English. That's simply the trade association for all the pension funds who own real estate in their pension funds. And I'm talking Texas Teachers Retirement System. We're talking firemen. We're talking police officers. We're talking Caterpillar and General Motors and GE. Y'all with me on this stuff? They all have pensions. So you too, as a real estate professional, you can actually put real estate, anyone can, you can put real estate in your self-directed 401k. And the cool thing is when you put real estate in your 401k, all your gains are tax exempt until you withdraw the cash. Then you pay ordinary taxes. So we call these tax exempt. Now, all these pension funds, when they buy commercial real estate, and they own $459 billion, over 7,000 major properties. These are super regional shopping centers. I know of 2 refineries that these pension funds own that they lease to a refiner. Y'all with me on this kind of stuff? So their total return is their net cash flow plus their change in value. In the latest 12 months, the average return on U.S. real estate in pension funds, 12.84%. Did anyone get 12.84% in the stock market in the last 12 months? No. So I want to go down this list. Where are my highest returns? What's the highest one there? Shout it out. Industrial. What's the number one user of real estate in the valley? Industrial. Okay, y'all with me? So that means the hottest market, best return nationwide, and in here too is your number one user. What's number 2? Hotel. Actually, retail and hotel are close. Well, let's throw both of them in, retail and hotel. You are a major destination, am I correct? Hospitality industry is a major business in this. Just look at the hotels going up around the convention center here. Y'all with me on that? And then let's do retail. You're a major retail center. You are the prime retail center in South Texas, am I correct? Yep. What's the next one? Office. We don't need as many offices here, do we? Nah. And then we do apartments. Even apartments are above 10%. I just want to show you what commercial sales are doing in the U.S. We reached a peak in 2007. Sold almost $600 billion. We actually had a bigger bubble in commercial real estate than we did in housing. Within 24 months, that fell 88%, and it's climbing back again. You're seeing the same thing here. What's the problem with commercial real estate sales here today? It's real simple. If you bought a property here in the last 5 years, your rents have gone up. You've locked in for at least 10 years an incredible interest rate, and you don't want to sell it. Am I correct? Am I right? Yeah, look at the bobbleheads. I love that. It's not a problem. It's a good thing. So I look at real estate, and I'm going to do commercial here. First, most important decision you do is buying, timing and everything else. Is it still a good time to buy? Yes or no? Yes. Why? Because you're going to get the cheapest interest rates you may get the rest of your entire life. Because your population is going to grow no matter what, just pure demographics. Because you are a very business-friendly state, and you're a very business-friendly area. I applaud. There are some cities I walk into, and you want to go away from the economic development groups. I applaud the economic development groups in the valley because y'all really do economic development. Y'all with me on this? Don't ever think that they're not earning their pennies. They're getting mega returns on their investment. I just want to tell you that, particularly with our property tax issues here. Number 2, rents. I want to focus on my expectation on rents on everything I buy. Why? Because my value is purely a function of rents. After I've sunk in my costs, including my financing, it's all about rents. Number 3, And this is where you need to start focusing the next 5 years. For everything we bought in the last 5 years, at some point in time, you need an exit strategy. Who agrees? No one ever thinks about the exit strategy. How many of y'all, when you bought something, say, when it hits to here and the market does this, I'll sell? We as real estate professionals in this room, we need to start focusing more on helping our customer on exit strategies. Who agrees? And I'm talking about everything from your tax account on, because it is a very complex business considering depreciation, recapture, and everything else. If I throw out the number 1.98, what does it mean, y'all? Remember, this is participation time again. Interest rates, who said that? Who said interest rates? Which interest rate? No, it's which you're close. Yeah, it is here. That's the 10-year Treasury rate this morning. Now think about this. I want you to focus on this number. How many of y'all kind of think that the future of the U.S. is bleak? I completely disagree with that, as does the world. We have foreigners this morning loaning billions of dollars to the United States government for the next 10 years. They're going to get 1.98% per year, and they'll get their money back 10 years from now. They think this is the most safe haven to put their money for 10 years. Can you fathom that? Does anyone want to tie up $100,000 for 10 years at 1.98%? Not me. People around the world have so much faith in the United States. That's the current rate. Now, there's a flip on this one, too. If you look at an apartment project, who are my commercial lenders in here? No one's going to raise their hand now. Got a couple guys. So let me tell you about this Class A apartment. It's 97% leased. Rents are going up. We have 40% equity. What will you loan on that? What's your interest rate for 10 years? How's 4.25, 4.5? Close? Higher? 5? Okay. So that means that you're going to buy 300 basis points over the Treasury. I don't think you'll ever see that again. I don't think you'll ever get 10-year money for an apartment project for 5%. Who agrees? Do y'all understand how important that is? Oh, and what are rents going to do the next 10 years on that apartment project? And you just locked in your biggest expense. Do y'all get it yet? Overweight in real estate. 60. Who remembers this from last year? Not everyone at once now. Remember, I wrote a blog in October a year ago saying that oil would go to 60 and I could make a case in the high 30s. I was wrong, because I could make a case in the high 20s now. And let me tell you about oil, though. Let's just look at this picture. This is the biggest deal changer we've had in our lifetimes. And I'll attribute it to George Mitchell. George Mitchell is the guy that perfected hydraulic fracking and shale formations. I want you to go down to Brownsville on this map and go all the way up on the Gulf Coast, all the way into Mississippi. Did you know $331 billion worth of new industrial plant expansion or new plants are being built as we speak? It's the largest industrial build out our country's seen since World War II. Guys, it's all because of cheap natural gas. It's a deal changer. We're going to bring more manufacturing back. You're the big winner on that. Just want to show you this. Historically, when oil got cheap, our Texas unemployment rate went up. This time our unemployment rate goes down because our industrial plant, petrochemical stuff's taking the change. Lastly, the reason it's taking the change, that red line's when George Mitchell Energy developed the woodlands, perfected hydraulic fracking, and now we have all this cheap feedstock of natural gas. We're going to go from being the largest plastic importer in the world 5 years ago to 5 years from now the largest exporter. Last thing I want to do this is my big one that's bugging me right now. I turned on the news at 3 o'clock this morning, and I heard that China's destroying the U.S. economy. Because the Chinese economy's sick, we're getting pneumonia, and they're wrong. I want to show you on here. Look at the exports to China in the latest 12 months. We sold $118 billion to them. We bought from them $484 billion. We buy 4 times as much as we sell. Y'all get it yet? We buy 4 times as much as we sell. If China didn't buy anything from us, that's their concern. If China gets sick, they won't buy anything from us. Well, our total GDP is 18 trillion and change. 118 billion's 6.5 tenths of 1%. If China quit buying everything from us, our GDP would drop 6.5 tenths of 1%. Do y'all understand? It's not China, it's us. and it's the Federal Reserve. The reason that the stock market's plunging, and it will continue to do so, for the last year and a half, the Federal Reserve kept interest rates too low. No one's going to buy bonds under low rates. You're not going to buy a bond if you think rates will go up. So we didn't buy any bonds. That leaves two things you can buy. You can buy real estate, or you can buy stock market. Most people are not sophisticated. They bought stock market. We bought too much stock market. We paid too much money for it, and it's coming home to roost because our returns aren't adequate. My concerns, first of all, it's election year. Who has had enough besides me? I'm done. In fact, my wife, she actually, thank God we have a DVR because she likes to see the debates, but I refuse to watch them. Oh, now let me do this. Sunday night during a playoff game, the Democrats run their debate. Well, by the way, the Republicans should try the same. By the way, I'll just do that. Y'all get it yet? Well, that's just stupid. Government revenues and regulations. I'm gonna pick on George Bush. I'm gonna pick on Barack Obama. President Obama needs to be sent back for remedial math. Don't worry, I'm gonna pick on Bush in a second. If you come into office and the federal debt's 10.2 trillion, and you go out of office, it's 20 trillion, what happens to your payment? It doubles, right? Y'all realize we just raised the debt ceiling because we don't have enough cash flow to pay our debt? So we don't have enough cash flow to pay our debt right now, and yet we're growing our debt huge. Oh, but what happens when the 10-year Treasury goes from 1.98% to 6%? That doubling, 2 times 3 is 6. It goes up 6-fold. You can't make your payments then, guys. Day of reckoning is going to come sometime when rates go up. Now I'm going to pick on Bush, W. Stupidest thing he ever did was to subsidize ethanol. You're going to grow corn to make alcohol to run through your car. Why is that stupid? Well, the logic was kind of, oh, that's good. We will make alcohol. We won't have to import as much oil, so we'll reduce our oil dependence. Oh, the reality is different. It took just as much oil to make the alcohol as you got out of the alcohol. You didn't save any oil. And if you remember for the last 2 years, I said, what's going to happen? Congress is going to repeal the subsidies on ethanol because it's stupid. Remember this, that the price of corn from 2005 to the peak went up 500% because of ethanol. Rural land values in the Midwest went up 600%. And I kept saying, when they repeal the subsidies on ethanol, you're going to have all these banks go bankrupt in Iowa and Kansas and every other place. And I was wrong. You don't have to repeal the subsidies on any of this stuff. I got schooled by a high school dropout in Jacksonville, Florida. I'm returning a rental car. And you have to gas up a rental car before you return it. They're going to charge you $14 a gallon. Y'all know that, right? 2 miles to the airport, I'm gassing up, and I didn't get my receipt. I pressed the button, no receipt came out. So I have to go inside and get a receipt. So here's my high school dropout behind the thing. By the way, he educated me good. He took me to the woodshed, and as he should have. And I said, well, I know he's a high school dropout. I said, I need a receipt on pump 4. He said, did you press the button? No, hell no, I came in here just because I wanted to have a conversation. Yeah, I pressed the button. And so he prints out the receipt. And I said, I have one more question. All your pumps have this fluorescent sticker on them that say, our gasoline contains no ethanol. Why is that? And this is where I got schooled. He says, well, mister, we figured out now that it's cheaper to put gasoline in gasoline than ethanol in gasoline, you put in gasoline. Y'all get it? Oil prices went down so much it's cheaper to use gasoline than ethanol. Gotta love it. GSEs, Fannie and Freddie, Republicans and President don't get stupid and eliminate them. They buy 91% of all conventional loans. Inflation and interest rates over in real estate. And our big issue, if there are any politicians in this room, we should not run the entire education system of Texas off of real estate taxes. Who agrees? It's hurting us on that side. Creativity, I love creativity. So here we go. I grew up on a ranch, and do you love a guy who took all this lodgepole pine, chainsaw on the end, and paint? Who thinks that's the coolest? That's better than any artwork I've seen in the Louvre. Who agrees with me? Shows you about my roots. Talking about creativity. When it floods in Texas, let's go fishing at Whataburger. Who loves that? I mean, get your poles, it's flooding, let's go get a burger. Yeah, you gotta love that. And I love this one in New York. This car could not have gotten an inspection sticker. So y'all realize the guy took a Post-it note, a yellow marker, and a pencil and made one. Who thinks that's just brilliant? Talk about things better than you think. Here we go.
Okay. Tom, you're already in the 26th week of your solar ride. How are you doing?
It's really, really cold here. I suffered serious damage yesterday. I've been up all night. And now to get through the bearing straight real quick before the takeoff stressed me in. But I'm not pretty...
And we've got good news as well. Your sponsor is here.
Tom, we're extending your contract. Fantastic. Congratulations. That's what I needed. It's all too much for me. Sorry. Let's stop. Beer time!
Just trying to tell you guys it's beer time. So, I haven't looked at my clock, but hopefully 25 of you are tweeting with me, DRTCJ. How many of y'all read my blog? Brandon, you're with Stuart Tyler. You don't even read my blog. Oh, shame on you. With that, 2 questions. Do we have time for 2 questions? Byron, Elva?